I don't even know why I'm here writing this. Maybe because I have no one left to talk to, and maybe because the internet feels like the only place I can scream into the void. I'll start from the beginning, but trust me, you're not ready for how insane this gets. It all started on a Tuesday evening. I remember the day because I'd left work early to surprise my wife, Amanda, with her favorite sushi from that place downtown. We've been married for 8 years, and while things hadn't been perfect lately, I thought we were still solid. Maybe not the couple we used to be, but not broken. Or at least that's what I'd convinced myself. When I got home, the house was eerily quiet. Usually, Amanda would have music playing while she cooked or worked on her laptop. But that night, it was silent. I called out, "Hey babe, I'm home," and got no response. I walked into the living room, sushi bag in hand, and saw her phone on the coffee table. She never left her phone lying around. Ever. That should have been my first red flag. I was about to call her name again when I heard a faint voice coming from upstairs. I froze. It wasn't the sound of the TV or music. It was Amanda's voice. She was talking to someone, quietly, almost conspiratorially. My gut told me to stay put, but curiosity, or maybe stupidity, got the better of me. I set the sushi down and crept upstairs. Her voice became clearer as I approached the bedroom. I wasn't trying to eavesdrop, but the words stopped me dead in my tracks. "I just can't do it anymore," she said, her tone filled with frustration. "I'll never choose him again. He's not the man I need. Honestly, I don't even think I ever truly loved him." My heart stopped. My brain scrambled to make sense of what I just heard. Who was she talking to? And why would she say something so cruel? "I've been playing this role for so long," she continued. "He's so clueless. He still thinks I'm his perfect wife. It's almost pathetic." My chest tightened, and my breathing became shallow. I leaned against the wall for support, my mind racing. Who was she talking to? Was it a friend? A lover? "I need to stop pretending," Amanda said, her voice now laced with determination. "It's time for me to focus on what I want. I've already made my decision." The pain in my chest was unbearable. It was like hearing the woman you love deliver a eulogy for your marriage while you're still alive. I felt a lump in my throat as I realized she wasn't just venting. She was done with me. I quietly stepped back, my legs barely able to carry me. I didn't need to hear anything else. Whoever she was talking to didn't matter. The words were enough to shatter me. I walked back downstairs, grabbed my car keys, and left the house without saying a word. As I drove aimlessly through the streets, my mind replayed her words like a broken record. "I'll never choose him again." It wasn't just what she said. It was how she said it. Cold, detached. Like I was nothing more than an obligation she was finally free to abandon. I didn't go back home that night. I parked my car at a nearby overlook and stared at the city lights, wondering where it all went wrong. Had I been blind to the signs? Was I really so clueless, as she'd said? The sun was beginning to rise when I finally checked my phone. Dozens of missed calls and texts from Amanda. She had no idea I'd overheard her. The messages were all the same. "Where are you? Are you okay? Please come home." But I didn't reply. I couldn't. Because the man she was asking for no longer existed. By the time I got back to the house, the sun was fully up. I'd spent the night battling every emotion you could think of: anger, sadness, disbelief. But mostly, I just felt empty, like something had been carved out of me. I parked a few blocks away and walked to the front door, bracing myself for whatever version of Amanda would be waiting inside. As soon as I stepped in, she came rushing toward me, her face a mix of panic and fake relief. "Oh my God, where were you? I was so worried," she exclaimed, throwing her arms around me. Her concern felt like poison. "I just needed some air," I said, keeping my tone as neutral as possible. I couldn't let her know I'd heard everything. Not yet. If she was so eager to play the part of a worried wife, I wanted to see how far she'd take it. "You could have at least answered your phone," she said, pulling back to look at me. "I thought something had happened to you." The audacity. I bit back the urge to ask if she'd been more worried about me or the possibility of her secret coming out. Instead, I gave her a weak smile and said, "Sorry, it was a rough night." She bought it, or at least pretended to. "Let me make you some coffee," she offered, already heading to the kitchen. I followed her, watching as she moved around like everything was normal. She wasn't just pretending to care. She was good at it. Too good. For years, I'd believed every lie she'd fed me, every fake smile, every empty promise. How long had she been this person? And how long had I been blind to it? As she poured the coffee, I decided to test the waters. "Who were you talking to last night?" I asked casually, pretending to scroll through my phone. She froze for just a second. So quick most people wouldn't have noticed, but I did. "What do you mean?" she asked, her back still to me. "I thought I heard you on the phone when I got home," I said, keeping my tone light. I didn't want to interrupt, so I went back out. "Oh, that," she said, turning around with a forced laugh. "I was just talking to my mom. She's been so stressed lately." Her mom? That was her excuse? I knew she was lying, but I didn't press further. Not yet. The rest of the day passed in a blur. Amanda acted like everything was fine, but I noticed the little things now. The way she avoided eye contact when she thought I was watching, the way she kept checking her phone, the way her smile didn't quite reach her eyes. That night, after she fell asleep, I decided to do something I'd never done in our entire marriage. I went through her phone. I felt like a criminal as I unlocked it with the code I'd memorized months ago but never used. What I found confirmed everything. There were messages with someone saved as R that painted a picture I didn't want to see. Flirty texts, inside jokes, and plans to meet up. My stomach churned as I read one message in particular. "Last night was amazing. I can't wait to see you again. I'll tell him soon. I just need to find the right moment." I couldn't read anymore. I put the phone back exactly as I'd found it and went to the bathroom, splashing cold water on my face. My reflection stared back at me, hollow and unrecognizable. She was planning to leave me. That much was clear. But I still didn't know how deep this betrayal went. Was R just some fling? Or had this been going on for months, maybe even years? I decided I needed answers. Real answers. But I couldn't confront her yet. If I wanted the truth, I had to be smarter than her. That night, as I lay next to Amanda in bed, I couldn't help but wonder how many nights she'd spent in someone else's arms while I slept here alone, blissfully unaware. The thought made my skin crawl. I had no idea how I was going to handle this, but one thing was certain. I wasn't going to let her destroy me without a fight. The next few days were unbearable. Amanda continued her charade as if nothing had changed, while I had to act like the loving husband I no longer felt like being. Every time she smiled at me, every time she kissed me goodbye, I wondered if she was on her way to CR. The lies hung in the air between us, suffocating me. But I wasn't going to let this destroy me. Not yet. If she thought she could outsmart me, she had another thing coming. I needed to play the long game, gather as much information as I could before confronting her. I wasn't just going to walk away without knowing the full truth. The first thing I did was hire a private investigator. It wasn't a decision I took lightly. After all, hiring someone to dig into your own wife's life feels like crossing a line you can't uncross. But I needed answers, and I needed them fast. The investigator, a no-nonsense guy named Mike, assured me he'd be discreet. "She won't even know I exist," he said during our initial meeting. "Give me a week, and I'll get you everything you need." A week. It felt like an eternity, but I agreed. In the meantime, I had to keep pretending. Every dinner conversation, every shared laugh, every night in bed felt like torture. Amanda's touch, once comforting, now felt like needles on my skin. I started to wonder if she noticed how stiff I'd become around her, but if she did, she didn't let on. Then, on Thursday evening, she slipped. Just a little, but enough to set off alarm bells. We were sitting in the living room, watching some mindless TV show. Her phone buzzed, and she grabbed it quickly, her face lighting up in a way I hadn't seen in years. She tried to hide her reaction, but I caught it. A split second of pure joy before she masked it with indifference. "Who's that?" I asked, keeping my tone casual. "Just my mom," she said without missing a beat, quickly setting the phone face down on the coffee table. Her mom again. Right. I didn't press further, but I filed the moment away. Amanda wasn't just lying. She was comfortable lying. She'd been doing it for so long that it came naturally to her. The realization made my stomach turn. The next day, I got a call from Mike. "We need to meet," he said. I've got something you're going to want to see. I met him at a small cafe on the outskirts of town. He handed me a folder, his expression grim. I'll let the photos speak for themselves, he said. I opened the folder, and my world tilted on its axis. There she was, Amanda, smiling, laughing, holding hands with a man I didn't recognize. They weren't being discreet, either. The photos showed them at a restaurant, walking in the park, and finally, entering a hotel together. My stomach churned as I flipped through each image, the betrayal hitting me like a freight train. I followed her for 2 days, Mike said. She met up with him both times. The guy's name is Ryan. I ran a quick background check. He's single, no kids, works as a marketing consultant. Ryan. So this was R, the man who had stolen my wife. Or maybe she'd given herself to him willingly. It didn't matter. What mattered was that she'd chosen him over me. Do you want me to keep digging? Mike asked. I shook my head. No, this is enough. Enough to confirm what I already knew. Enough to destroy whatever hope I had left for our marriage. That evening, I went home and found Amanda in the kitchen, humming to herself as she cooked dinner. She looked up and smiled when she saw me, completely oblivious to the storm brewing inside me. How was your day? She asked, as if everything was perfectly normal. It was fine, I said, forcing a smile. Yours? Busy, but good, she replied, turning back to the stove. I was thinking we could do something special this weekend. Maybe go out to that winery we used to love? The audacity of her suggestion made my blood boil. How could she stand there, pretending to care about us, while sneaking around with another man? I wanted to confront her right then and there, but I knew it wasn't the right time. Not yet. Yeah, that sounds nice, I said, my voice steady despite the rage simmering beneath the surface. That night, as she slept peacefully beside me, I made a decision. Amanda had taken so much from me already. My trust, my love, my sense of security, but I wasn't going to let her take my dignity. If she wanted out of this marriage, she was going to have to face the consequences of her actions, and I was going to make damn sure she couldn't lie her way out of it. The morning after I received the photos, I woke up with a strange sense of clarity. I wasn't confused anymore. I wasn't unsure. I knew what had to be done, and I had a plan. Amanda had been playing me for God knows how long, and now it was my turn to play her. I got out of bed before her, careful not to make a sound. Standing in the kitchen with a fresh cup of coffee, I scrolled through the photos Mike had sent to my phone the previous night. Each image burned into my mind like a brand. There she was, looking so carefree and happy with Ryan. It was like seeing a version of Amanda I hadn't known in years, a version she had stolen from me and given to someone else. Amanda came downstairs not long after, her hair slightly messy from sleep, wearing one of my old t-shirts. She yawned and gave me a lazy smile. Morning, she said, grabbing a mug from the cabinet. Morning, I replied, forcing a casual tone. I couldn't let her see the war raging inside me. She poured herself some coffee and leaned against the counter, studying me. You're up early. Couldn't sleep, I said, sipping my coffee. I was thinking about this weekend. You mentioned the winery last night. Sounds like a good idea. It's been a while since we had a day just for us. Her eyes widened slightly, and I caught the faintest flicker of guilt before she masked it with a smile. Really? That sounds great. It wasn't great. It was a test. I needed to see how she would react to spending the weekend with me while she was juggling her secret life with Ryan. If she made an excuse, I'd know she was planning to see him. If she agreed, it meant she was confident enough in her lies to believe she could keep playing me. Either way, I learned something. The rest of the day passed like any other. Amanda worked from home, occasionally coming into the living room to chat with me. She laughed at my jokes, asked me about work, and even suggested we watch a movie together after dinner. To anyone on the outside, we looked like the perfect couple, but I knew better now. I saw the cracks beneath the surface. That evening, I went through her phone again while she was in the shower. My hands shook as I unlocked it, half hoping to find nothing new, half expecting the worst. The texts with Ryan were still there, and they were just as damning as before. I can't wait to see you again, he'd written earlier that day. Are you still good for Saturday? Amanda had replied, of course. I'll tell him I have to visit my mom. He won't suspect a thing. My blood boiled as I read the words. She was already planning her alibi. The winery suggestion had thrown her off, but not enough to make her reconsider her plans. I locked the phone and placed it back exactly where I'd found it. The shower was still running, and I had just enough time to compose myself before she came back into the room. Later that night, as we lay in bed, Amanda snuggled closer to me, her head resting on my chest. "I love you," she whispered, her voice soft and warm. The words felt like daggers. I wanted to scream at her, demand to know how she could say that to me while betraying me so completely. But I didn't. I simply kissed the top of her head and replied, "I love you too." I hated myself for saying it, but I needed her to believe I was still in the dark. If I wanted to get the upper hand, I couldn't let her see the storm brewing inside me. The next day, I called Mike and told him to follow Amanda over the weekend. "She's meeting him on Saturday," I said. "I need proof, solid proof." "You'll get it," Mike assured me. "You're doing the right thing." I wasn't sure if that was true. The right thing would have been to confront her immediately, to call her out for the lies and the betrayal. But I wasn't ready for that yet. I needed to be sure I had every piece of evidence I could gather before I made my move. As Saturday approached, Amanda stuck to her story about visiting her mom. She even went as far as to pack an overnight bag, giving me a kiss on the cheek before she left. "Don't work too hard while I'm gone," she said with a playful smile. I watched her drive away, my heart pounding in my chest. Mike was already on her tail, and I knew he'd report back to me by the end of the day. The hours dragged by as I waited for his call. I couldn't focus on anything. TV, books, even eating felt impossible. My mind kept replaying every moment of our marriage, searching for signs I'd missed. Finally, my phone buzzed. It was Mike. "She met him at a hotel," he said without preamble. "I've got photos, timestamps, and everything. You'll have it all by tonight." I hung up without saying much, my hands shaking as I set the phone down. It was real. She wasn't just emotionally checked out. She was fully gone. As I sat there in the silence of our home, I realized this wasn't just about her affair anymore. This was about reclaiming my dignity, my sense of self. Amanda thought she could have it all, her lover, her lies, and her oblivious husband. But she was wrong. I wasn't going to be the clueless, passive man she thought I was. The time for pretending was almost over. The hours after Mike's call were some of the longest of my life. I paced the house, each step fueled by a mix of rage and sadness. She was at a hotel with Ryan. At that very moment, she was laughing, touching him, maybe even telling him the same lies she used to tell me. The weight of it all felt unbearable. Mike's report arrived later that evening. I sat at the kitchen table, my laptop open, staring at the email. Attached were photos, timestamps, and detailed notes of everything Amanda had done that day. My hand hovered over the mouse, hesitant to click the attachments. I didn't want to see her like that, happy with someone else. But I forced myself to look. The first photo showed her walking into the hotel lobby, dressed in the same outfit she'd kissed me goodbye in that morning. Her smile was radiant, her posture confident. She didn't look like a woman weighed down by guilt. The next photo was of her and Ryan sitting at the hotel bar, laughing over drinks. His arm was casually draped over the back of her chair, and she leaned into him like he was her safe haven. And then there was the photo that broke me. A shot of them holding hands as they entered an elevator. The timestamp confirmed what I already knew. They didn't leave the hotel for hours. Mike's notes filled in the gaps. He'd followed them from the bar to the elevator, then waited in the lobby. They eventually came back down, laughing and holding hands like nothing in the world could touch them. They'd gone to dinner at a nearby restaurant before returning to the hotel for the night. The audacity of it all made my blood boil. Amanda hadn't just betrayed me. She'd done it so brazenly, so confidently, as if she thought I'd never find out. I sat there for what felt like hours, staring at the photos. I could feel the anger building, but I also felt something else. Clarity. The evidence was undeniable. There was no room for excuses, no way for her to twist the truth. That night, when Amanda came home, I was ready. Or at least I thought I was. The moment she walked through the door, her face lit up with a smile. "Hey babe," she said, setting her overnight bag down. "How was your day?" "Fine," I replied, my voice calm. Too calm. She tilted her head, studying me. You okay? You seem off. I'm fine, I said again, forcing a smile. Just tired. She didn't press further, which was a relief. I didn't trust myself to keep the charade going for long. She kissed me on the cheek and headed upstairs to unpack, leaving me alone in the living room. I wanted to confront her right then and there, but something held me back. Maybe it was fear. Fear of how she'd react, fear of what she might say. Or maybe it was something deeper. Part of me still wanted to believe there was a version of Amanda who loved me, who cared about me enough to come clean on her own. The next morning, I decided to test her. I brought her coffee in bed, acting as if everything was perfectly normal. So, I said casually, how was your mom? Did you two have a good time? Amanda didn't miss a beat. Oh, yeah, she said, sitting up and taking the coffee. She's been stressed about some family stuff, but we had a nice visit. It was the ease with which she lied that got to me. She didn't hesitate, didn't stumble over her words. It was as if she truly believed her own story. What about you? She asked, her tone light. What did you do while I was gone? Not much, I replied, keeping my voice steady. Just caught up on some work and relaxed around the house. She smiled, completely unaware of the storm brewing beneath the surface. Later that day, I called Mike and asked for one last favor. I need a recording of her with him, I said. Something she can't deny. Can you get it? It'll take some time, he said. But yeah, I can do it. With that, the wheels were set in motion. I wasn't just going to confront her. I was going to make sure she couldn't escape the truth. Over the next few days, I continued to act like everything was fine. Amanda, for her part, seemed oblivious. She went about her routines, occasionally texting on her phone when she thought I wasn't looking. But I was looking. I saw everything now. Finally, on Thursday, Mike called with an update. I got the recording, he said. It's all there. You'll want to hear this. He sent me the file, and I listened to it alone in my car. My hands shook as I pressed play, the sound of Amanda's voice filling the small space. I feel so free when I'm with you, she said, her tone soft and intimate. I haven't felt this alive in years. Ryan's voice came next. You deserve better than him. You deserve someone who makes you happy. I know, Amanda replied, and I'm done pretending. I'm going to leave him soon. I just need to figure out the right way to do it. The recording ended, and I sat there in stunned silence. She wasn't just cheating. She was planning her exit, planning to leave me like I was nothing. I clenched the steering wheel, my mind racing. Amanda thought she had the upper hand, but she didn't know what I knew. She didn't know that I had every piece of evidence I needed to turn her world upside down, and I was ready to do it. After hearing that recording, I knew I couldn't delay any longer. It was time to confront Amanda, but I wanted to do it in a way that left no room for her lies. The evidence was ironclad. The photos, the texts, and now the recording. But confronting her in private felt too small. Amanda had humiliated me behind my back, and I needed to ensure the truth came to light in a way she couldn't twist or deny. So I made a plan. Saturday night, Amanda had arranged for us to host a small dinner with a few friends, couples we'd known for years. It was the perfect stage. That day, I was calm, eerily so. I went about preparing for the evening like it was just another dinner party. Amanda, unaware of what was coming, seemed cheerful as she cooked and set the table. She even joked about how nice it was to spend time together after her weekend with her mom. The irony made my stomach churn. By the time our friends arrived, the house was filled with laughter and the smell of roasted chicken. Amanda played the perfect hostess, charming everyone with her wit and warmth. I watched her, marveling at how effortlessly she lied. Not just to me, but to everyone. As dinner wound down and the conversation turned casual, I decided it was time. My heart pounded in my chest, but I kept my composure. Hey, everyone, I began, raising my glass. I just wanted to thank you all for being here tonight. Amanda and I have always valued your friendship. Amanda beamed at me, clearly pleased. That's so sweet, honey. But there's something I need to share, I continued, my tone steady. Something Amanda hasn't been honest about. The room fell silent, all eyes on me. Amanda's smile froze, and I could see the panic creeping into her expression. What are you talking about? She asked, her voice tight. I think it's time everyone knows the truth, I said, pulling out my phone. I tapped the screen, and the recording Mike had sent me began to play. Amanda's voice filled the room, her intimate words to Ryan unmistakable. The color drained from her face as the recording continued, and gasps echoed around the table. When it ended, I looked directly at Amanda. Care to explain? She stammered, her eyes darting around the room as if searching for an escape. It's not what it sounds like, she began, but no one believed her. The evidence was too damning. Our friends sat in stunned silence, their expressions ranging from disbelief to pity. One of them, Julie, finally spoke. Amanda, how could you? Amanda buried her face in her hands, unable to answer. I stood, feeling a strange mix of relief and sadness. You've all heard the truth now. I won't let her keep lying, not to me, and not to any of you. With that, I walked out of the room, leaving Amanda to face the consequences of her actions. I spent the night in a hotel, unable to stay in the same house as Amanda. My phone buzzed constantly, calls and messages from her, from our friends, even from her family. I ignored them all. I needed space to process everything. The next morning, I returned home to find Amanda waiting for me in the living room. She looked disheveled, her eyes red from crying. We need to talk, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. There's nothing to talk about, I replied, keeping my distance. You made your choices. Now you have to live with them. She tried to defend herself, claiming the affair meant nothing and that she still loved me, but I wasn't buying it. The lies, the betrayal, they had cut too deep. I trusted you, I said, my voice shaking with emotion. I gave you everything, and this is how you repay me? Tears streamed down her face as she begged for another chance, but it was too late. I'd already made my decision. Over the next few days, I began the process of untangling our lives. I met with a lawyer, filed for divorce, and started looking for a new place to live. Amanda tried to fight it, sending me long, emotional messages about how sorry she was and how we could fix things. But I knew better. The friends who'd been at the dinner party rallied around me, offering support and encouragement. They told me I deserved better, that I'd made the right choice. And for the first time in weeks, I started to believe them. The divorce process was messy, as I'd expected. Amanda tried to negotiate, to hold on to things she had no right to, but my lawyer was ruthless. By the end of it, I'd secured a fair settlement and started to rebuild my life. I moved into a small apartment on the other side of town, far enough away to feel like a fresh start. It wasn't much, but it was mine. For the first time in years, I felt a sense of freedom, like a weight had been lifted off my shoulders. As for Amanda, word of her affair had spread quickly after the dinner party. Our social circle turned against her, and even her family seemed to distance themselves. Ryan, the man she'd thrown everything away for, didn't stick around. Last I heard, he'd moved on to someone else, leaving Amanda alone to pick up the pieces. It's been months now, and while the pain hasn't completely faded, I'm learning to move forward. I've started focusing on myself, my hobbies, my career, my mental health. Looking back, I can't believe how blind I was to the cracks in our marriage. But I'm grateful for the clarity I've gained, even if it came at such a high cost. To anyone reading this who might be going through something similar, know this. You deserve honesty. You deserve respect. And you deserve someone who chooses you every single day. I didn't have that with Amanda, but now I know what to look for. And someday, I hope to find it.